In the summer of 2018, a young woman in China named Zhou Xiaoxuan chose to take on one of the nation's most powerful men, Zhu Zheng. As a part of the Me Too movement in China, she spoke out about her story where she claimed that he sexually assaulted her back when she was a 21-year-old intern. Ended up taking the case to court, seeking a public apology and financial recompensation for his transgressions. It seemed like an impossible battle that she couldn't possibly win. As Zhu Zheng was a household name and a media giant, as a widely respected TV host with millions of admirers across the country, but despite this, Zhou Xiaozhong chose to fight anyways. She knew the challenge at hand, but chose to speak her truth regardless. Her story is important because it reflects a larger conflict at hand. The Me Too movement in China and its battle for justice and equality in a male-dominated society. Today, I'll be sharing why Zhou Xiaoxuan's story deserves more attention, why she needs support as the underdog in this fight, and why the Me Too movement she's championing is critical for the future safety of women, not just in China, but around the world. So let's start with why Zhou Xiaoxuan's story is so important and why it needs to be heard. The Me Too movement started out in the United States, but it inspired many others around the world, including those in China. In 2018, the Me Too movement in China was ignited when a student came forward with allegations of sexual harassment against a professor. This sparked a wave of women sharing their own stories, breaking the long-standing silence surrounding sexual harassment. This growing movement even led to significant changes, as in 2020, China passed a law aiming to hold schools and businesses accountable for sexual harassment. However, as an article in Elle pointed out, many saw this law as largely symbolic and a gesture more than a solution. It didn't hold enough actual power and weight, and thus the Me Too battle is far from over. Within the many stories that came out from China's Me Too movement, Zhou Xiaoxuang's story stands out in particular because she was speaking out against one of the most powerful men in the country, Zhu Zheng, a household name and a media superstar with massive influence. As a result, her story caught a lot of attention, and she soon found herself becoming an icon and a symbol of the Me Too movement in China. While many tried to silence her voice, she refused to back down, and her bravery inspired countless others to come forward with their own stories. Her courage helped inspire others and brought greater attention to the movement as a whole. Seeing Zoe speak up against one of the most powerful men in the country made others feel that they could surely do the same against their attackers. Even with the support of many behind her, her battle is still an incredibly difficult one. Zhu Xiaoxuan is an underdog, fighting an uphill battle against overwhelming odds. For instance, because so many people look up to Zhu Zheng and admire him, they refuse to believe her story and her allegations as it goes against their view of him. They refuse to even consider the possibility that he might not be the perfect person that they see on TV. According to an article, when Zhou Xiaozhuang tried to report her case to the police themselves told her that coming forward would hurt the feelings of those who admired him, as if that was more important than her own pain and suffering that she experienced. According to CNN, Zhou Xiaozhuang also has to deal with many internet trolls who attack her and her supporters online. They accuse her of lying and working with foreign forces to destabilize Chinese society, ultimately trying to undermine her credibility and her story. While these naysayers may be difficult to deal with and undermine her efforts, the greatest obstacle she faces is the government itself. Because the government is fearful of mass movements, they decided to censor Zoe and her story in fear of the public unrest it would cause. Her and many of her followers had their social media accounts blocked. And on top of that, the government was censoring posts related to the Me Too movement in China as a whole. It ultimately stifling the voices of those who hope to support the Me Too movement in China. The difficulty of her battle is further exacerbated by the court system, which places an unfair burden on the accuser, making it incredibly difficult for women in general to seek justice against their harassers. And thus, many just don't. Zhou Xiaoxuan is not just fighting Zhu Zheng, she's fighting societal norms, government censorship, and a legal system that often sides with the more powerful. But despite these challenges, Zhou's fight is important. It's critical because it's a part of a global movement that has the power to protect women in the future. The Me Too movement is about more than just individuals. It's about creating a world where women feel safe, supported, and empowered to speak out. According to a UN article, less than 40% of women who experience violence seek help. When women like Zhou Xiaozhuang share their stories, it helps show others that it's okay to speak out and seek help from others. It shows victims that they are not alone in their struggle and that they don't have to be alone in how they handle it. Additionally, the movement can raise awareness about the extent of sexual harassment and help people better understand the experiences of survivors. By informing people of just how common sexual harassment is, it can help people be more vigilant against sexual harassment that could be possibly occurring around them. More importantly, the Me Too movement is important because it can lead to real policy changes that can make the world a safer place for women. These policies can help victims that do come forward be heard with more trust and understanding, one of the goals that Zhou Xiaoxuan set out to do. Additionally, these policies can hold wrongdoers accountable and properly punish them, and thus discourage and prevent future acts of sexual harassment in the future. By supporting Zhou Xiaoxuan and the Me Too movement, we're helping support a future where no woman has to suffer in silence. In conclusion, this is why Zhou Xiaoxuan's story needs to be heard, why she and her cause needs more support as the underdog is battling against an unfair society, and why her cause is important to the future safety of women around the world. She is an underdog battling against societal norms, government censorship, and a powerful legal system. But in fighting this difficult battle, she has become a symbol of courage, a reminder of the power of our voice. While others may try to silence Zhou Xiaoxuan's voice, we don't have to let them succeed. Tell her story to your friends and your family and share this video. The more her voice is amplified, the more it'll echo around the world and help inspire the change we need for a safer, more equal future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, together we can make a difference.